everyone, today in this video I'm going to be checking out the Cooler Master 34-inch curved gaming monitor. I did receive this product to review, but any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this product, you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. You can see the retail box and packaging. Check this thing out. It's pretty massive. That would make sense though, since we have a 34-inch curved gaming monitor, and that 34 inches is measured diagonally across the screen. This has a 1500R curvature, so a slight curve that is noticeable, but I would say enhances your viewing experience on a larger size monitor like this. We have 98% DCI-P3, which is pretty impressive to me. Low blue light modes, 0.5 millisecond for our response time, and 144 hertz for our refresh rate. If you're wondering about resolution, it's 3440 by 1440p. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and look at the contents. Here are all the contents besides the screen itself. First up, you can see we have a product literature with warranty information and our quick start guide complete with the QR code. And 9 simple steps for setup. Backside, we can learn more about the included stand and the features that it has. Next, we have all of our cables right here. So we have a USB cable, DisplayPort cable, HDMI cable. You can see all 3 of them are 10 meters long. We have a braided USB to micro USB cable. We have our power cable. We also have our stand right here. And look at how cool this is. It's literally formed in the Cooler Master logo. Check that out. What a sweet base. I really like how this looks. Then you can see the second piece of that right here that's going to attach to the monitor itself. And we have our cable management clip right here taped on. Now let's go ahead, let's look at the monitor. Here's a look at the monitor from the back. Check out this design. This looks so cool. We have the Cooler Master logo and branding up here. We have our power button, navigational joystick, so to speak, combo right there for us. We have a VESA mount if we don't want to use the included stand, so that's always an option. Kensington security lock. We have our 2 USB ports on the side. Let's gently tip it up so you can see all of our ports and I/O right here. So we have our power plug, 2 HDMI ports, 1 display port, USB Type-C, and that's where we're going to connect our USB cable. You can also see we have our headphone jack right there. Let's flip it up so you can see how thick this monitor is and get a feel for the thickness of it. It definitely gets larger along the back, thinner up at the top and along the sides. We'll look at it from the side so you can see those 2 USB ports right here. That's going to be on the left-hand side if you're looking at the display. And now we'll look at it from the front side. We'll turn it around, just being very careful. But you can see the front of our monitor right here with our Cooler Master logo front and center in very thin bezels. Basically, it's bezel-less along the sides and the top. Obviously, we still have some plastic film on that we'll need to remove. But now let's go ahead, let's get the stand installed. Stand installation, simple and straightforward, no tools necessary. You're gonna take the 2 pieces, line them up like so, just gently slot everything in place, flip it over. Now you can see right here, we're just gonna tighten this down and into place, get it nice and snug. If for some reason you wanted to, you could use a Phillips head or flathead screwdriver right there, but you can see no tool necessary, and we have everything put together. Now we just need to go ahead, line it up on the back of the monitor right here so you can see where these 2 pieces are gonna kind of just latch into, and then the whole thing will snap in place, and we've just assembled the monitor. Now that you can see everything set up here, let's go over the stand features. So first up, we have an adjustable height. This is the lowest height setting, but you can see we can raise it up. That's our maximum height setting, or we could land somewhere in between. Again, there's the lowest, there's the highest height. We could also rotate this to the left and to the right, so we have some nice swivel right here. So you can see how we can position the monitor that way. And we also have some tilt. So this is our max tilt down, but then we can also tilt the monitor up So we have those options with this stand. There's no rotation to change it from horizontal to vertical or portrait viewing experience. We don't have that luxury with this particular stand, but we do get height adjustment, tilt adjustment, and that nice swivel, which is definitely my favorite feature. Now I thought we'd look at the monitor from the side so you could get a better feel for the 1500R curvature. So it is a slight curve and bend, and I would argue when you get to these wide monitors, 34 inches, obviously if we're going like super ultra wide at 49 inches, the curvature really helps in my opinion. It doesn't hinder the viewing experience. In fact, I would say it enhances and enables the viewing experience a lot better than if this was just your typical flat screen. Is it a deal breaker or a make or break for this particular monitor at 34 inches? I would say no, but for me personally, I would prefer to have a curve when we're starting to get to this really wide territory. So we have the monitor connected now to our gaming PC. Check it out. The desktop looks great. First thing I want to go over is the built-in menu settings. We're just going to quickly scan all the settings. We're not going to dive into each individual setting. You'll see that the menu is really easy to navigate. We can just press in on the back to bring up all of our settings right here. So let's start on this side where we have our input selection, so 2 HDMIs, DisplayPort, or USB Type-C. Then we have our audio settings. We can adjust volume or quickly mute as desired. Then we have our picture mode settings. You can see standard, game, user, movie, web, text, Mac. Then we have our color weakness, so we can adjust the red and green filter right there as we see fit. We'll come back to that setting. We'll look at it with the video playing and see how every setting changes the image. Next, we have our color adjustments. So again, contrast, brightness, you get the idea here. There's a lot of different settings that we can control and configure. Color temperature, gamma. So there's our options, really nice. Again, you can choose what you want, right? What color space are you after, that sort of thing. So nice color settings there. Next, we have our manual image adjustments. So we can adjust sharpness. We can change the aspect ratio as well. And then lastly, we have our setup menu right here, so we can change language. You can see we can turn on FreeSync Premium, overdrive settings, motion clearness, frame rate, resolution, so different notices and things like that. We have our OSD settings right here too. Further down, we have additional options. Eco mode. So a lot of settings. If you really want to dive in and configure this however you see fit, you'll be able to do that right within the built-in menu of this monitor. And I want to add that it's very easy to navigate. I like this on-screen display and how everything's configured and neatly organized so you can actually find the setting that you're looking for. Now we're going to dive into the different picture and image settings right here. So currently we're watching this video with standard mode. So you can see standard right here, the different options we have to configure. Now let's go ahead, let's bring it into game mode. So here we go, we're in game mode right now. Look at all the different options we have. We have 6, if I counted correctly, 6 different settings. So we got our MOBA settings at the bottom right here. Let's bring it to RTS, FPS 2. Here's FPS 2. Here's our FPS 1. Then we have our Gamer 2. So here's our Gamer 2 settings, and then we have our Gamer 1 settings as well. Hard to tell a difference, but what's nice is you could configure both of those however you want. Maybe you want to make a couple of slight adjustments between your blacks or your blue light, things like that. You can do that right there. Then we have our user options. So again, we can configure this however we see fit with our user settings and preferences. Then we have our movie option, followed by web, text, that really changes it. Here's our Mac settings right there. And then our color weakness options where we can filter the red and green. Again, to your own preference and taste. Maybe depending on the content you're consuming, you can change that on a case-by-case basis. And then we can go back to our standard picture settings right there. They all look great. I would just recommend spending a couple minutes honing in on maybe the content you primarily consume and find whatever one looks best to you, or tweak a couple of settings here and there and always use that one maybe when you're playing Fortnite, Call of Duty, something like that. You'll appreciate having that setting all ready to go for you when you want to use it. I'm really happy just looking at this content in standard mode. I think it does a really good job as it is, but obviously if you're going to do web, Mac, things like that, then I'd recommend definitely taking advantage of the settings that they already have built into this monitor. Now we have our display count results up on the screen so you can see the color accuracy and representation of this monitor. Not only is it important for color sensitive applications like color grading, video editing, graphic design, photo, all that good stuff, but if you're gaming as well, you want to make sure you're getting some accurate color so your game looks the best as possible. Especially when you make an investment in a monitor, you want to know that you're getting good color results. So what are our results? You can see right here our coverage for sRGB coming in at 99.9%, with our sRGB volume coming in at 145.4%. They advertise 125% for our sRGB volume, so we exceeded that pretty substantially, which is always a good thing. For Adobe RGB, we're showing 89.5% for our coverage and 100.2% for our volume. And lastly, for DCI P3, we're showing 92.7% coverage and 103% for our volume. They advertise 95% for our DCI P3 coverage. We fell a little bit short there, but that could just be a discrepancy between panel to panel, as well as the tools we're using versus probably the factory calibration and the hundreds of thousands of dollars of tools and equipment that they have to really test these displays. If you're going to be using this display with the Windows PC, I wanted to show you really quickly in the advanced display settings down here at the bottom how everything's going to work for you. So we plugged it in by default. You can see the resolution 3440 by 1440, which is recommended. Under the advanced settings, we can learn more about the panel right here, some additional specs and information. And this is where you can change the refresh rate. By default, ours came in at 60 Hertz, but we did have the option down here to go straight to 144 Hertz. Obviously, depending on your GPU, your computer, that sort of thing, you can choose the one that you desire. But keep in mind, you might plug it in, you might get 1440p 60 Hertz. Just go to the advanced display settings right here within Windows so you can change it to get the refresh rate that you want. Now it's time to talk about browsing the web with this monitor. I have a couple of popular websites pulled up that we're going to look at so you can get a feel for the experience. In regards to responsiveness, things like that, you can see it's very fluid, really nice. It's doing a great job here, just giving us an enjoyable browsing experience on YouTube's trending page, being able to see all the different popular and trending videos. Very clear, very crisp. Now I do want to point out, due to the size of this monitor, you can see how it's stretching the web page across the screen. So it depends on the website you're on and how optimized they are for a monitor that's this wide. You can see for YouTube, they feed all the content in the center for you, and then a lot of white spacing with your menu options. Let's go ahead, let's pull up our next website right here. This is The Verge. Same thing, you can see the banner really stretching our contents towards the center and how this site is optimized. But pay attention as I'm scrolling, browsing, everything's clear, crisp, looks really nice, all the different images, right, different titles, things like that. Let's go ahead, let's just click on an article here. We'll let that load and you can get a feel again for the browsing experience. All the text is clear, no staggering, sputtering, anything like that at all. And then lastly, one of our favorite e-commerce sites, you can see we got Amazon pulled up on the display. Same thing, they all follow that similar pattern, right? Banners, search bars stretched across the top. Then all of our content is in the center here. Very nice, easy to browse, and a very enjoyable experience in my opinion. And don't forget, with a monitor this large, you might want to treat it like two monitors, right, in a way. So you could go ahead, we could just stretch one of these to the corner there, right? So it looks basically the same screen real estate wise without that white spacing on the sides anymore. So you have a lot of flexibility with this display and how you want to browse the web. Now we have our lovely UFO test up on the display so you can see different FPS values at 144 Hertz and how much a difference it makes to have those higher FPS values with your higher refresh rates. So in this case, 144 FPS at 144 Hertz looks amazing. Not going to fault 72 FPS, but you can see pretty substantial difference as we double the FPS value every time. So 36 at the bottom, pretty shaky, pretty staggering. Then you have 72 FPS, looks a lot better, right? Not gonna lie, looks substantially better. I would say playable, but 144 hertz, buttery smooth as that UFO goes across the screen. That's what you want. That's what you're after with the gaming monitor. I would say too, if your system can handle it, 144p for your resolution and 144 hertz is still the sweet spot in my opinion, giving you the best of having that higher FPS experience, the smoother footage and gameplay, but still getting all of that really clear and crisp detail at 1440p. Now it's time to talk about ghosting with this monitor. So with this particular test, usually I use a pursuit camera and we're able to get some images that are pretty clear, not the best, but pretty clear, allowing us to see what sort of ghosting artifacts are on the display, things like that. With the curvature of this panel, it was not accurate enough for me to be comfortable to share anything with you all. So just showing the ghosting video on the display, I felt like with my own naked eyes, I was actually able to see some ghosting even as the UFOs are moving right now, and I found that a little bit unusual, but let's see how it does when we're actually playing games. We got Forza 5 gameplay footage up right now. We're getting around 100 FPS. You're also listening to the dual 3-watt speakers that are built in. They're so loud, I've turned them down. We're below 50 for the volume level. I'm really impressed with that sound quality too. But pay attention to the gameplay right here. Look for any ghosting, tearing, things like that. We do have FreeSync enabled. That may help eliminate some of those features, but play around with the settings to find what works best for you and your game. But look at how good everything looks. I can't believe how realistic this game is. And having that widescreen gives us that extra field of view that can give you a competitive advantage as you can see more of your surroundings, whether it's a driving game like this, or maybe you're playing some sort of first-person shooter. You can get that nice extra edge with a wide monitor like this. Check out the detail there. It looks so good. Now we're looking at Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay footage right here. We're getting around 80 FPS at our full 1440p resolution. Look at how clear, crisp, all the different colors, how vibrant. Everything looks really nice. The movement's very fluid too. All the characters. The resolution at the screen size just looks so nice in my opinion. Very enjoyable experience gaming on this panel. The smoke, the clouds. Now we're going to see some water here. Still around that 80 FPS value. Got a fisherman in a boat. Pay attention to the lighting, the shadows, the detail in the sky. I love this when it zooms and pans out here. Looking back at the town. Look at those details. Oh my gosh, looks so good. Now we're looking at some Hitman 3 footage right here from the benchmarking tool that they have. So you can get a feel for the FPS value. We're pushing over 144 FPS. And again, we're at our max resolution, 1440p. Check it out. Pay attention to the lighting. Obviously, all the bullet impacts as well that you can see along the bookshelf. Light coming in from the windows, the lamp, the different shades and colors, the dark blacks, the textures along the wall. Very detailed. Movement looks fantastic. A lot of different scenes with different environments. So you can get a feel, depending on the game, the style of game you're playing, how things will look with this monitor. Now you're looking at Borderlands 3 gameplay footage right here, showing a little bit under 100 FPS right now. Look at all the creatures. Got some explosions in the background. Again, the audio you're listening to is from the built-in dual 3-watt speakers that sound really good.
Don't get between me and my gun, heretic!
So we got a little fighting going on there. So we're making our way through. Look at how good it looks. More characters running. Pay attention, different lighting environments. Got a little firefight going on.
You, me, fight to the death!
Right around 90 FPS right now. At full resolution. Got an explosion there. Everything looks really good. Now it's time to conduct my favorite test. We're going to measure the input lag on this monitor. Input lag is going to measure the delay between this device, the signal, and when it's actually going to be displayed on the monitor. That is different from your response time, which is the amount of time it takes the pixels to change from one color to another. A lot of times that's measured G to G, you'll see with monitors. In this case, they advertise 1 millisecond response time, MPRT. In regards to the input lag, let's find out what we're dealing with right here. Ooh, nice, 0.7. That's really, really good. I always like to see gaming monitors come in under 1 millisecond. It's not going to be the end of the world if it comes in a smidge higher than that, but at 0.7, that is really, really low, and there shouldn't be any noticeable delay or, most importantly, any sort of noticeable disadvantage to you gaming with this monitor. So you've already heard the built-in speaker quality with our dual 3-watt speakers from the gaming sample that we've done, but I wanted to play a couple of seconds of this Music Chef song so you could really get a feel for the range of the audio quality. But honestly, some of the best sounding built-in monitor speakers I've ever heard. At this price point, that's really important. You want to make sure that they sound good because you're paying a pretty penny for this monitor and you want to get the best sound, the best quality overall with your monitor. So let's go ahead, let's give it a listen. Currently, we're at volume 15. Let's turn it all the way up. We got some bass. So they sound really nice. Is it going to replace dedicated computer speakers, your headset, things like that? Most likely not. But if you're in a pinch, and even if you're not in a pinch and you want to have some decent audio without buying anything extra, this will definitely get the job done in my opinion. We can't forget about the built-in RGB lights. This monitor does it right by having the lights at the base so you can actually see and enjoy the feature that you're paying for. Typically, you'll find built-in RGB lights on the back of a monitor, but I'd argue you never get to see it because you're looking at the other side. You could push it up against a wall if that's how your setup's going to be, but even then, the lights usually aren't bright enough to really enjoy or see it reflect back. So having it at the base is top notch where we can see it on the inside and a nice glow around the outside. It looks amazing in my opinion. Here's the Master Plus software on your screen where we can choose our different LED modes and effects. So Spectrum's what you're looking at right now. We have the max speed setting that can be adjusted if you want to slow it down or speed it up. Then we have our reload option. Choose the color that you want. We're going to keep it Cooler Master Purple since this is a Cooler Master monitor after all. That's just going to move back and forth. Then we have recoil. This is cool. So now we double the lights. They kind of race each other. They hit each other, recoil, bounce back, and so on and so forth infinitely. Then we have our breathing, a nice little pulsation. The light gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and then dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, so on and so forth, replicating that nice breathing option. Here's refill, so the light continues to build until the whole ring is illuminated, and then it reverses itself. You can adjust the speed. So if you want it to refill faster, it's full. Then it goes back to 0. Then we have our custom option. Choose the color that you want. And lastly, we have the option to turn it off, but I don't recommend that. Definitely keep it on Spectrum. That's my favorite one. But I like the customization too, so you could choose maybe your own color, logo, branding, that sort of thing with your setup. You have the flexibility here within the Master Plus software. Lastly, let's talk about next-gen consoles. This monitor will work with your next-gen consoles. We have a PlayStation 5 connected to it right here. When you boot it up, you'll be able to adjust the display to make sure that everything's fitting exactly how you want it and to tweak the HDR settings. We have Fortnite pulled up right here, so let's go ahead. Let's look at a couple of seconds of gameplay to see how everything looks. All right, so here we go. Check out this footage right now. Super responsive. We're gonna move around back and forth very quickly. So fluid.
To be equal, no, the sky needed a voice to find reason to multiply people in the streets for the cause. Watching the Washington miners will be walking through walls. Type of superhero show up when ain't no one to call. Better shield you from the
All right, gotta have a little fun here. Driving our truck. Can we get him? Time to find out. Oh! Snap! Let's drive off again. So fun. Oh, look at that. We got out. All right, let's go ahead. Had a little fun there. But everything was really nice. Now let me share with you my final thoughts after using this monitor. This is my first experience with the Cooler Master monitor, and they hit it out of the park. I really only have good things to say about this monitor. The biggest con for me would be price, but even then, it's still within range for a monitor with the specs that we're getting here. They really did everything right, and it doesn't feel like there's any compromises. So, what did I really like? The built-in speakers are great. I was pleasantly surprised with the quality. The resolution's spot on. When you're going with a widescreen like this, at a minimum, you're gonna want 1440p, so they did that right. The built-in stand's really, really nice. I like it a lot. I guess we could find a little bit of fault there that we don't have the option to rotate it for a vertical viewing experience, but they do give us VESA mount, so we could use our own stand if that's something you really desire. The curvature is great. The built-in RGB is exactly where you'd want it, so you can actually see and enjoy it. Plenty of input options. The USB ports are a nice touch too, so you can connect your keyboard and mouse directly to the monitor. The menu's easy to use. I mean, there's just a lot to love about this monitor. Input lag's really low, 1 millisecond response time. I didn't even mention that this has 400 nits for its brightness, so I'd say that's on the brighter side of other monitors around this, spec and range. They usually fall around 300 nits, so it's great to see that we have a brighter monitor here. Not only is this made for gamers, but there's that utility there for content creators as well. If you want to edit videos, you'll appreciate having the larger screen to stretch out your timeline. Again, the USB ports if you want to utilize those. It's really a solid choice. The color accuracy is great as well too, if that's of importance to you as a creator. So they really did a good job on this monitor.